What's going on, guys? It is Filmington, and I just got a few orders back from PSA. I think 14 cards in total, and you guys are really going to enjoy this, so stay tuned. So this is 3 orders total. I think these were all standard service levels, and I think they came back probably on average 9 months after PSA received them. And first card is gonna be soccer, the only soccer card in the submission. This is Christian Pulisic, and I was hoping for a 10 on this. This is his flagship, what's considered to be by many his flagship rookie card, Donruss, and I got the 10. As you can see, a little off-centered left to right, but corners are sharp, and got the 10 grade, so happy with that. Pulisic's an example of a guy that might not have a ton of long-term appeal because he's the biggest superstar on the U.S. national team. That gives him some sort of market, but at some point I would think there will be a peak selling opportunity for him, perhaps in advance of the World Cup. Who knows when that's going to be. Next card is the only Pokemon card of the bunch. This is from the first edition base set, English, 1999, and this is a Chansey holofoil, so a pretty big card here. I was hoping for a 7 or an 8, to be honest, so I'm not that familiar with Pokemon though, but there are a bunch of scratches across the foil. I wasn't sure how harsh they'd be on that. There are a few marks on the borders here. I don't know if you can see that. And probably one more up here. Centering's okay. And the back is decent, a little bit of whiting. Got some marks as well. So definitely happy with that 9 grade. The difference between an 8 and a 9 is like at least 2x. I think it jumps from like a $700 card to like a $1,700 card. Next up, we got a Luka Doncic, and on this I was hoping for a 9, but understanding that maybe an 8.5 was more likely, and I got a 9. This is the green prism. There's almost like a bite off this this top edge up here. It's quite the defect, the indentation. Not this. This is just debris in this lab, but I'm talking about up here. So I thought that in itself would knock it. Centering's okay. Really tough to get 50-50 on these, especially left-right. Yeah, super happy with that. This one I'll bring to the show this weekend. The Shriner Show, which is one of the top card shows in New England. Next up, this one I took a bath on. This is why sometimes you don't listen to friends' advice, especially if they're outside the hobby. I ended up picking up this Tyler Herro card. This is the Red Prism, number 299. I picked it up during the playoff run, probably a day or two after that huge performance he had in the semifinals. And I really like the color match on this one, and I was hoping for a 9. I knew the centering would kind of knock it from being a 10, but otherwise the card was in really good shape, I thought. So yeah, happy with the 9. Not so happy with what these cards are selling for now. Next up, picked up a few of these Lindors. I think I only submitted 1 or 2 of them. This is the number 202 Topps Chrome short print rookie. PSA pop is fairly low on these. Hoping for a 10, and I got the 10. Really nice to see. Hopefully he can turn his career around a little bit. It's been kind of a lost season for him. Next few cards, Jamal Murray. I thought he was sort of undervalued versus a lot of the more modern or ultra-modern players, or guys that came out during the ultra-modern era, the Trae Youngs of the world. But Jamal Murray had a season-ending injury, so his card prices haven't really done much. But this is the Donruss base rookie got a 10. And then I submitted a couple of these hoops cards. I got a 9 on this one. A little off-centered. And then I submitted, I think this was a short print. Yeah, blue short print. Kind of wanted to get a teal variation, which I think is numbered, and it would have also matched the jersey. But the blues are also very short printed, although they're not numbered. So a 9 on that. Next card, the next couple cards, I actually cracked from BGS 9.5 holders. This was quad 9.5 subgrades. And I'm hoping for a 10 on this, and I got a 10. This card, I think it peaked at close to or above $1,000. Now it's down to about $500. Really sweet pose, much better than the base version of the Heritage Rookie here. So I'm happy to get that. A lot of people ask when I'm buying cards or when they're buying cards that are in BGS holders, like, oh, are you going to try to crack that and send it to PSA? You never really know if it's a worthwhile candidate until you have the card in person. So yes, with Beckett, one of the greatest assets is the subgrades. That's one of the more significant variables on whether it makes sense to cross it or not. And by cross, I mean not actually cross, but crack and submit to PSA, which is going to give you higher chances usually. But that's very important. But the most important variable, I think, is what the card looks like using your own eyes, because the grading process is human. There's going to be some attributes that might be overgraded and some that might be undergraded. You'll see an example of that later on. Okay, so this was another BGS 9.5 crack. This had, I believe, 3 9.5 subgrades and a 10 subgrade. The 10 was probably either edges or corners. This one I tried to submit in its slab to PSA with a min grade of 10. PSA initially rejected this card, I think that was last October, and they said that it did not meet the minimum size requirement. Probably pretty hard to measure the length of a card when it's in a holder. So I'm not sure how they came up with it did not meet the minimum factory size, but you know, maybe they've got some pretty sophisticated equipment. But this time, when I took it out of the Beckett holder, I got the grade I wanted. So perhaps I should have just started by doing that. So really, really sharp. You don't see PSA 10s even with corners like this on these gold variations. So now that makes 2 successful BGS 9.5 crack and resubmits to PSA that I was able to get the 10 on. And the other one wasn't even a true gem. The other one did have 9 centering. This one had 9.5 centering. So really happy to add this one. Next, we've got Shea, Gildress, Alexander, one of the hot rookies from the Luka class. And this one I was kind of hoping for a 9. These, I mean, they're prone to surface issues, centering issues, all sorts of stuff. And I got the 9, and this is the silver. So not bad, although the values probably have taken a dive, as they have for a lot of the ultra modern basketball guys. Next up is another BGS 9.5 crack, and this is going to be Jason Dominguez first edition, and this was, I believe, again, 4 9.5s, kind of like the Heritage Action Acuna. So I was able to get a 10 on this, and I'm happy for that. So it seems like performance-wise, Anthony Volpe has surpassed him, but he is 1 or 2 years older, I believe. So it'll be interesting to see which one becomes a better Major League Baseball player. At this point, Volpe might have an advantage, actually. Next up, Bobichette, this is from the Topps Chrome Black set. This is the refractor, number to 199. I picked up a bunch of these. These are really tough. Even the base versions of this card, just like the corners on the back are in the edges on the back, and some have surface issues on the front. So I'm definitely happy with that 9. That's kind of what I expected. It'd be interesting to see if they make this set this year. I assume it would be either on or excluded from whatever the release schedule is for Topps. I just haven't checked. This last card, so I was 3 for 3 in getting those BGS 9.5s into PSA 10 holders, so very, very happy with that. This one was actually from a BGS 9 holder. And this is a 2003, so technically like a 4th year Brady, although it's the 3rd year where he had cards. This is 2003 Topps Chrome Black Refractor. The values on this have gone up quite a bit since I submitted it. This was a BGS 9 with 3 9.5 subgrades and an 8.5 for edges. And I took a look at the edges through the holder and I'm like, you know, that 8.5 looks a little harsh. If anything, maybe 9. It should have been maybe a 9 edge. I was thinking based on what I could see beyond the holder. Cracked it out and also it looked fine. So, you know, worst case, I was thinking this would cross to a PSA 9, but I was really hoping for the PSA 10. And bang! That's what I'm talking about, guys. Look how beautiful that is. Beautifully centered surface, devoid of any issues that I can see. The edge, I can't even tell where that edge defect was now. But I think it might have been on the left side or something. You have to look at it real close. Yeah, so going back to what I was saying, it definitely pays to really evaluate the card, have a good sense to, you know, what might have been overgraded, what might have been undergraded for each of those attributes. Of course, it's great to get those Beckett subgrades. It's great to get that information. Some of the newer grading companies that have popped up do offer subgrades as well, like CSG and HGA. I like how they've done that, especially for these modern cards where it kind of pays to get an extra level of granularity. Because at the end of the day, when you're submitting ultra modern stuff to PSA and say 50% comes back as a 9 and 40% comes back as a 10 and 10% is everything else, it's like, how much information do you really get? You know, just putting everything into, mostly everything into just 2 buckets. Now, unfortunately for Beckett, the subgrades have become what everybody's liked about Beckett. You know, and some people prefer the holders too, but the subgrades aren't scalable. It's not a scalable way of doing business, and I think that's why Beckett has tried to push people off the subgrade system by charging a lot more for subgrades. I think the divergence between the 2 service levels has grown with regards to how much they're charging, and that's too bad because they could ultimately kill their business if they were to push people off subgrades altogether. Although if you think about it, it probably takes graders double the time to assign subgrades. You're not just looking at a card based on like overall eye appeal. You truly have to measure the centering, and you truly have to inspect the 3 other properties by themselves and then assign some sort of a subgrade, and then maybe, you know, those get reviewed by somebody else in certain situations. I'm not sure how that works with Beckett, but it's just high dollar cards or whatever. But that card is sweet. Man, that's nice. All right, guys, that is it. Those are the 14 cards. Very happy with this submission. One thing I'm noticing is that whether it's PSA or whether it's SGC, those have been my more recent experiences over the last year with submitting cards. I haven't really done a whole lot of business with anybody else. I'm noticing that across a particular order, positive surprises are correlated with positive surprises, and negative surprises are correlated with negative surprises. What do I mean by that? I think it largely has to do with the forced scaling up of these companies and hiring a lot of new graders. I just think that now more than ever, what you get for grades depends on the grader than any sort of standard. So you're going to see biases across orders. You're going to have some bad orders, you're going to have some good orders. But it kind of makes sense because I think SGC, they've probably scaled up like at least 4 times. So they've got 4 times the amount of graders versus where they started a year, 18 months ago, whatever. I think I heard that. PSA is now grading 2 to 3 times as many collectibles as they were this time last year, I believe. So they've scaled up. So then you now have graders that have a shorter average history of experience, whether it's at that grading company or overall in their career. That's what happens when you hire new people. It's just, you know, just what happens. And now you have deviations across graders, which, I don't know. What can we expect? It's humans doing the work. All right, guys, that's it. Hopefully you liked what you saw. Like, comment, please subscribe if you haven't. Take care. Filmington out. Thanks, guys.